Hello and welcome back to my channel. It's been some time since I did a baking video. In today's video, we want to make milk scones. They go by different names. Some call them biscuits, some call them milk scones. So I call them milk scones. I've taken a kg of bread flour. So this is whole wheat flour. This is wheat flour, not whole wheat, but wheat flour, strong wheat flour with a I think a protein percentage of around 12%, 14%. I'm going to put salt into that. I think I'll put, this is a teaspoon, so I'm putting half a teaspoon because my margarine is salted. So to that, I've added half a teaspoon of salt, and I'm going to put in 8 teaspoons baking powder. I like to use this baking powder, but you can use whichever one you prefer. You still get good results. So 1, great. So that's 8 teaspoons of baking powder. I'm now going to sieve that. I like to sieve my things for obvious reasons. I don't want any fallen matter. I also want to incorporate air, as well as make sure that the salt, the baking powder, at least is well distributed. So that is why I like to sieve my flour. But also, you know that sometimes flour can contain other fallen matters, things that you don't want in your final product. So that's why I sieve. As you can see, you see that? If I had not sieved, we are going to eat together with that. So it's always good to sieve your flour. So now we are going to go into the process of making the scones. I'm just going to make sure that the flour that was thrown on the shelf is incorporated. Now let's add in some sugar. So this sugar, I've not weighed it. I don't know how much this is, but I like to use my hand because I also don't like my scones to be too sweet. So for the 1 kg, I'm only going to add about 2 hands. Let's incorporate that. I know for those of you that like to measure things, that's an issue for you, but if it was going to, if this was for sale, I was going to measure, but this is for home use. I'm adding that using my fingers because sometimes the sugar also has some lumps, so I don't want any lumps that when you're eating, then you hit into a nugget of sugar. We don't want that. Now I'm going to put in my butter or margarine. This is 250 grams of margarine. I'm going to break this up. We are also mixing with the fingers. It's better that you use cold margarine. It makes your product come out well than if you used melted margarine or room temperature margarine. So always use cold butter for best results. If you want your scones to be soft, you need to use cold butter, right? So cold butter it is. We're going to mix that until it is well mixed in and it looks like breadcrumbs. Sometimes I don't completely do the mixing. I let it just stay like that so that I have some chunks of butter in there. It depends on my mood. But standard practice is it must look like fine breadcrumbs. See? You can use a butter blender if you want, but it doesn't cut butter well, I think. Right, so now that we've reached that stage, we'll go to the next step. Okay, there are 2 ways of doing these things. We are going to add in eggs. So the next step is to add in eggs. For business, 2 eggs are enough in a kg of flour. For home use, you can be extravagant. Okay, so I'm going to use 3 eggs because, as I'm saying, this is home use. It's always good practice also to first break the eggs into something else to check if the eggs are wholesome, because sometimes people can sell you rotten eggs, so you don't want to waste the whole batch because you put in rotten egg. So I said there are 2 ways. The first way is I can put this directly into the flour and mix them with my hands, or I can mix with milk. So I'm going to mix with milk, just a little bit of that, so that it is well incorporated, and I beat that. I find that if you mix directly and if you do it like this, the product comes out different. Yeah, the product comes out different. So today, this is what I want to do. Don't worry, for those of you that worry about people making food using hands, we always wash our hands. So that is mixed. I'm going to make a well in the center of the flour and add that in. So like that. Then I'll start putting the flour little by little, little by little, like that. Like so, until it is also incorporated. Yeah. So the eggs help to give the texture, the soft texture, as well as help in the rising of the dough, as you know. The milk helps with the taste. So it is not a must that you use milk. You can use water, but I find that the product that uses milk and that uses water taste totally different. Now we are going to make the dough by adding in milk. 2 things that you can do. You can add in buttermilk, which is chambiko in our local language, chambiko in Malawi, or you can use buttermilk or use milk. This brings out a product that is different because the buttermilk has lactic acid. You know, it's sort of like yogurtish, so it makes even softer. So if you really want your scones to stand out, then use buttermilk, but milk is equally good. And then if you don't have milk, then water will do. Right, so I've added in the rest of the milk. So that's about 500 mils of milk. So I've started with the cooking stick because I want to incorporate this quicker, and then I'm going to go in with my hands later. Okay. My household loves these scones, and if I stay for quite some time without making them, they'll start bothering me. Mommy, did you stop making those scones? So now you see where we've reached. It's not fully mixed in. There are some parts that are still floury, so that's not a problem at all. We are going to turn this on the shelf on a clean surface. On a clean surface. It could be a shelf, it could be anything for you. So this is the only surface I have in my house where I can easily do this. All right. So because we still have some flour, we are going to put in a bit of water, a bit of milk. Not too much. We don't want this dough to be too wet. Not too wet and not too dry. Okay. There are some who are going to do it the way it is looking now, and they're going to cut it, but I'm going to at least moisten some of the flour. Okay, there. Don't want it to be too wet or not too dry. Right. And then you should see how I'm working it. I'm not like vigorously doing it like we do with the yeast dough. I'm being gentle because I don't want to overwork the dough. Also, I don't want the gluten to fully develop. So that is good. This is my end point. You can see, nice and easy, right? Don't worry about the cracks, those are just fine, because what we're aiming for is a soft dough or a soft biscuit. So now I'm going to cut this. Okay, I'm going to roll it using a rolling pin and then cut. Don't worry about my hands, they've been working on here. So I'm going to divide the dough in two because I don't want to work all of it in one go. Also, if you have other ideas, like maybe you want to make fruit scones, then you put the raisins in that other one. Okay, so we'll roll it. We need to roll it gently. Yeah, gently roll it. I'm going to pat it like so. Why I'm doing that is because I want it to be of the same thickness. Wherever I cut, the thickness should be the same. I have several cutters here. I'm going to use the cutter. This is my big one. I'm not going to use that. Or you can use that one. This is a plastic one. Then I also have this kind. So for business, you may want to do very small ones. Maybe for customers who don't want to pay a lot of money. But for home use, this is my most go-to cutter. It has two sides. It has the jagged edge and a smooth edge. So you can choose whichever one you want to do. Okay. So now I have space. We're going to lay our scones or biscuits on a floured pan or tin. You can also put margarine on it. You can oil or grease the pan. I prefer putting the flour. It's less costly. And if you are doing so many trays, then it only makes sense that way. So I'm cutting using the jagged edge. That's why you're seeing that now my scones have a pattern. Yeah. And lay it there. So at a minimum, if we are using this medium cutter, a kg is going to give us about 22 or 24 scones. But if you use a much smaller cutter, then you're also going to have more. If you're going to use a much larger cutter, then you have less. I'm sure that's very obvious. So that's what you need to know. So that is going to help you price your scones, because pricing is quite important. You may find that you are not making money because you've not priced properly. So you need to know how many a kg, if you use this cutter, at what thickness. So at this particular thickness, you can see now I have 20 in this pan, right? So there's a trick that I also want to teach you. If you want your scones to have height, then you need to put them very close to each other. So that way they are not going on the side, but they'll be expanding upwards. If you want them to be flat and not have that volume that I'm talking about, then you need to put them far apart. Right? So that's the trick. Now we are going to also roll the remainder like that. And so if I put them closely together, it means that this pan can take 25. Is it 24? Not 25, 24. Yeah, so put one last one. Put one last one. Yeah. So I'm going to have a leftover remaining, which I'm going to put on a smaller pan. So this is what we've been doing. These are scones. So now, finishing. Two ways that you can finish this. You can sprinkle flour on top. These are the ones that look like they have a powder on top of them. Or you can egg wash them. So I'm going to egg wash them. When you egg wash them, they look different. They look shiny. They look brown. So that's what I'm going to do in just a moment. So here's my egg, which I'm beating, which I'm going to apply on top. There's a bit of milk that I put in to just dilute the egg a bit. So we egg wash. You put the egg wash nicely on top of each one of those. Yeah. Make sure that it is well coated on top. So maybe you've seen some of these in Super 8s, people selling, and you wonder how do they achieve this sheen? This is how to achieve the gloss or the shine or the bling bling. So that's how you get the bling. As I've said, I put them close together because I want them to puff upwards. I don't want them growing by the side. I want them to achieve height. Yeah. As you are doing this, you should remember to preheat your oven because you don't want to put this in a cold oven. If you put them in a cold oven, you're not going to get good results. Yeah. Because they'll be flat, so they will not instantly rise. What you need is an instant rise. Yeah, there we go. So now these go straight into a preheated oven. I'm going to start to bake them at 200 degrees Celsius for 5 minutes. Then I'm going to lower the temperature to 180 degrees Celsius. I'm doing that because I want them to quickly rise and then bake slowly. So they are out of the oven and look at how beautiful they look. So shiny. See here. So the volume I was talking about, as you can see, I had left some spaces. They've now hugged. You can see they are hugging. They've now hugged. Look at how beautiful that is. Oh. And then the height that I was talking about, this is the height that we are looking for. You can see. So when you put them together, that's the height that you're looking for. If you put them together like that, they go up. So this is the up that I was talking about. They go up, it means they gain height. But this one, there was much space. You see, it's wider than the other one. So those are the things that I was talking about. So instead of me eating my dinner, eating simmer, I'm going to have a cup of tea. So one thing about putting flour on the bottom of the pan is that the flour sometimes burns. So that's why you have to be careful and you will have to watch the heat. Look at that. I'm just going to get a container and pack them. Yeah, and I can't wait. I'm going to have a cup of tea just now. Let me take the container. Now I'm packing them in my container. Pack them nicely. If you want to sell, you can sell. I can't tell you how much you should sell it for because it will depend on how much you got your ingredients. Yeah. However, this is one thing that you can do as a business. The recipe, just follow the recipe, follow the steps that I have given to you, and you will never go wrong. Your family is going to love this, and your customers are also going to love that. So I have 24, and there was leftover dough, so it means you can make about 26 scones if you are using the cutter that I showed you. Yeah. Sometimes it cracks like that. It's just fine. No worries. Yay! Scones. everyone. So these are called biscuits in America, but we call them scones because we follow the British system. I can't wait to have a cup of tea. So here we are. The family is ready to enjoy. Just packing for my sister in love who's come to visit me. So here we are. Imagine if you're packing for a customer, and this is how it looks. Customer, and the customer will easily buy. I'm just going to wrap it up. Just going to wrap that up. So we wrap it up like so. Am I doing a good job? See? Yay! Milk scones, everybody. If you like these videos, like, share, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend, invite a friend. Until the next one, bye.